what's the role of telco in tomorrow's digital economy? Or a little bit more blunt, what does a board member of a national governmental-owned telco company actually do at a token summit? Let me share you some thoughts about what telcos do, what communication is all about. The first telegrams connected nations. The telephone networks or internet accelerated global commerce. And up to the mobile revolution we have today, where connectivity is ubiquitous, connectivity is absolutely universal. It always changed. But there is one trusted anchor. Telcos have always been the backbone of this progress. In every of those waves of innovation, whatever it wasn't just about connecting people. This core of connecting people, enabling seamless communication, enabling seamless access between people and organizations, always triggered also a completely new economy. And telcos, again, this trust anchor, was this layer of communication, reliable, regulated, with all pros and cons, and sovereign. And now if you think of what's happening in a decentralized digital economy, at least here I don't have to explain that this is a fair assumption, this same trust layer has to extend into this economy, in this reality of digital assets, of identities and verifiable transactions. And this is exactly where this vision or the mission of the Liechtenstein Trust Integrity Network, LTIN, comes in. And a telco by itself cannot do this alone. And that's why we strive for this mission, for this objective, together with leading partners across the digital asset and finance space, to build these bridges between these economies, enabling basically a responsible, scalable blockchain adoption across Europe and beyond. As we have seen in the introduction, Liechtenstein is one of the most ideal places in the world where you can do this. But what is the LTIN? We want to ensure trust, compliance, and resilience in a decentralized world. What does this mean? Today, if you build products and services in this world, you always have to build the infrastructure and then the product on top. This is like back in the days where multiple railroads existed with different width of the tracks, and it wasn't compatible and it didn't work. Or where roads were privatized, and you also had, before you operated a taxi company, you had to build a road, which is slightly utter nonsense, or at least inefficient. And we create a quite unique public-private partnership to access also this market insight from our partners to build what the future needs under this umbrella of the governmental sovereignty of the 100% by the government-owned Telecom Liechtenstein. Why Liechtenstein? The combination of the country, the government daring to move forward in a thriving space, being a global leader in the adoption or basically creating safety, regulatory clarity with the Blockchain Act and also the alignment with MiCA, gives at least the most possible clarity in this space today. This growing economy is requiring additional trust anchors, what we can give with this state-backed trust, and we can go back to our roots as a telco to provide critical infrastructure without instructing or defining markets. We enable markets through our public-private partnership. What does this mean? We opened this mission to the partners joining us in our daring move. And daring move is, I created plenty of startups that were the piece of cake compared to creating a startup within a government-owned entity. Because I think creating to the point that we dare to move into such an exercise with a thesis where a market will develop, backed by partners that share the same vision and give us the same support and also back us, gives us air under the wings to actually go there, where all of us don't really know where it is. We all know this economy will change and we also have to do it differently. That's why we chose a public-private partnership where we give out 49% of the ownership and also the whole governance into the hands of our partners to jointly develop and find out and deliver into the market what we see, what's needed. And we also opened the type of contributions partners can do. They can either contribute in know-how, with critical know-how, providing services, or give us operational excellence. We, by nature, as a telco, don't have in this space. Excuse me. Or they can contribute with market access. Basically, giving us access to this market, which is difficult to conquer if you start alone in an isolated ivory tower. And I think this is not only the fact that we as Telecom Liechtenstein decided to launch the LTIN, also the fact that we decided to do this in such a quite different but very inclusive and I think also community and economy adaptive way, I'm actually quite proud of. But what is it? What are we starting with? And this is very important. What are we starting with? We identified basically 3 different layers where we saw a certain demand. On the one side, operating validator nodes in a trusted environment, clearly defined who's the owner and who's the owner over time, and run all within the country borders. The same for trusted processing, where we basically execute transactions within a geo-fenced environment, but still in a decentralized manner. And the layer what we call trusted governance, where it's all about providing simplifications in doing transactions and business with this cumbersome element identifications, identifying people. And this is all run on, I think, the only company that has 3 independent data centers in this country, with the base route coming from what our core is, providing critical infrastructure, the whole communication in Liechtenstein. So we are launching 2 things in the National Validator Network. One is a proof-of-stake staking network to establish the sovereign validators. And on the other side, a Swiss Liechtenstein subnet on Definity to basically ensure that data and communication and the transaction resides basically within a certain geo-fenced environment. And also, together with Bitcoin Swiss and Solstice, we launch the first DVT cluster in this area, also geofenced around this, and also to ensure reliability to a next level, what's possible by distributing the validator nodes across different networks. The next element in the launch scope is that we will certify as a QVI. A QVI is an entity that's allowed to basically issue verifiable LEIs and who's not super into compliance. I think the so far safest bet, but correct me if I'm wrong on these messages, what the LEI is to get to MiFID II compliance is basically what the VLEI can be for MiCA. The LEI is the legal entity identifier. That's a framework accepted in 195 countries, how financial institutions have to identify their counterparties. You can either identify a financial contract, a fund, or an entity. So whenever you go into cross-border transactions, you only have to use this LEI to basically identify your counterparties. We do the same with VLEIs. VLEIs, but with the objective to issue them to wallets and to smart contracts. Imagine this today, if you send money to an IBAN, you have no clue who owns the IBAN. The same for a smart contract. If you issue this with a VLEI, you have an automated way how you can verify not only the receiver, also the executor and the sender of your financial contract. If you, actually a quite recent example, if you need to bring in stablecoins into a bank account, you're still reliant on offline paper-based process. Having wallets, sender receivers, and the financial contracts identified with VLEIs, there is at least a chance you can fully automate this. And this is the adoption thesis. And this is also what I say is, this is a market we provide a base service for. We start providing base services where we need the industry, everybody, further partners to develop the services on top. Because a telco's job is not to enter the financial market products. So we even excluded FMA regulated activities from our doing. We want to enable markets. We want to build the road where Uber and the taxi and the public transport can basically evolve on top. We want to provide this core infrastructure and go to what is the telco's core mission. Provide critical infrastructure and enable markets through a partnership. But also to put it somehow in perspective, this is a start. This is a start. And how fancy and futurist and great it all feels and looks out there, from my personal opinion, we are way, way closer to SMS and WAP portals than we are to 5G and WhatsApp today. And what we do is we just launch a foundation. We launch a bucket within innovation can happen, within partners can join and participate with no more than the risk that the market tells us we need to adapt. And this is exactly what telcos do for the last 100 years. So I invite all of you, join us, collaborate with us, build what this industry needs to define tomorrow's future in the digital economy. Thank you. I have no clue about timing because I don't see anything, but if we have time for questions, and if there are questions, we would need some mics. if somebody dares to ask first. What surprise.
I remember many years ago having this conversation with the board of Vodafone, saying that the future for telecoms was not about providing telephone calls. It was about what they were going to do with all of their network, all of their clients, who, as you point out in your presentation, actually trust them to handle a lot of sensitive information for them already. What plans are there to move toward providing payment services and those sort of things within this context, potentially as Liechtenstein Telecom becoming a regulated payment service provider, perhaps within a European context as well?
I think it's for a telco it's very dangerous to go too fast, too far up into the application layers. Because with this you basically exclude markets. You start to monopolize certain topics. I personally think we should stop at the infrastructure layer and basically partner for the products on top. I mean, you can see it on the other side. I mean, why, with the sheer market penetration all those telcos have, why aren't payment service providers or identity frameworks? Why is all of this, or why are all the daily apps you use not coming a single one from a telco? Because back in the days where SMS and WAP was hip, they wanted to control the full market, the full experience down to the customer. And this was the failure. Because consumers don't accept monopolies, especially also if they're not provided in a way that's super innovative. I mean, as bold my statements were about telcos, I mean, there also are some downsides. And that's also why we said we want to have a public-private partnership, because we will never understand this market better than our partners. And this combination is what, with a clear break on this vertical monopoly, is what I think is prone to success, instead of going too far into the application layers.
Hello?
Maybe to the last point, the invitation to collaborate with. We first had this discussion, the two of us, 3/4 of a year ago. And within Core, one of the banks providing services to this industry, we were invited. We've got two banks here sponsoring this event. Can you tell us, with this invite, how can we work together? And specific for some of the asset managers or financial service providers like banks, for whom it maybe seems a little bit far-fetched in the first thought, and they need to think around the corner to get it actually. And how can we actually help each other and create synergies?
It exactly starts with this ideation. It starts with this ideation. Is there a product, a service, a synergy we see on the path forward? I mean, we started this exercise with about, 20, 30 parties to basically find out, okay, what is this first mover? And I think this is the foundation we set today, that yes, we're here, there's the existence. I mean, approach me, go to the website, LTIN.li, and we start exactly this conversation about, we have to jointly innovate on that and find out, okay, what is the service, or what is the product, or what is this contribution to participate? And then within all the partners, we basically conclude on how we can proceed with that. Or talk to me afterwards. If
Is the infrastructure already built? And first question, and the second one, are you blockchain agnostic? So I saw a lot of blockchains like Ethereum and Solana. So does that mean you can build on various blockchain, or which kind of blockchain are you building?
yes, infrastructure built, 95%. Yeah. So hardware is there, first services are up. And yes, we are absolutely blockchain agnostic, because I think the future is clearly multi-chain. We all don't know which chain will basically dominate in 5 to 10 years, and that's also why we said our approach should not, and this is also a little bit from our let's say governmental ownership behind. With our moves, we cannot define markets by selecting technologies. we have to be open to basically provide multiple technologies and let the market decide which one wins. And that's why we are very open. Yeah. Which is also kind of seen in the spread we have. Then I would say thank you very much and have a good afternoon.